You're listening to the Fantasy Fling Podcast. Take a break from the season-long commitment and join us as we give you the newest and hottest DFS deals, preview the DFS main slate, and take the dreadful walk of shame. Here are your hosts, Brandon and Eric.
Welcome. It's Makin a Milli.
Friday.
It's Friday.
Milli.
It's Friday night with Fantasy Fling, DFS podcast, our Milli Maker Week 10 special, Making a Milli. It's your Week 10 preview on DraftKings, and we will preview it for you. But before we go ahead and preview Week 10, we're going to take a look back at Week 9. We're also going to look at some seasonal trends because that's the entire reason why we do this show. It's about trends. It's about things that can help you going forward and building your lineups for the Milli Maker for large field GPPs. Crushed it last week, all things considered. I mean, if you look at your score, it's like, you didn't really crush it. And then you look at actually what won the Milli Maker last week, and you're like, Eric had a pretty damn good week.
Hell yeah, you did.
Bad, man. Wasn't
What
bad.
a
I
shit show of
4x
week.
to my investment, which isn't great, but better than losing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So early on, you were like, you'd made $160 or whatever, nothing wild. But it was early, and I'm like, well, it's going to drop because I was looking at your team, and you had a lot of early players, and that's just kind of how it goes, right? If you have a couple players, 2 or 3 players, and you still have like a ton of studs left or stacks, you're probably really good. You're in good shape. But when you have a big part of your team already played, and then you're like, well, it's going to drop, and we'll see how it goes. But still, it was a great week for you.
I'll take it, man. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point it was like sitting close to I think it was like 1,000. At one point, I was like, let's just close it out here. I'm good.
Right,
Take
right,
it
yeah.
home, and I'll reinvest it.
Yeah, I don't even like to look at it early because it's just going to get your hopes up.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier, I've heard of like $45,000 like point swings, just kind of stupid. So you look at it too early, like if a couple of your players are going off and you're getting excited, and then you'll just start tilting because you're just like watching it go down, down,
Yep.
down. So you were the top dog last week. Let's go to your lineup. Tell us how that went.
It went pretty good. I'm pulling it up right now. I apologize. I should have had this ready. Sorry, guys. Look at me
How dare you?
not being prepared over here. Jeez. Of course, my shit crashes.
You scored 160.
It's 160. Sorry, I got it right here. It crashed as my tab crashed. I'm just opening it back up. I apologize. It wasn't actually the best lineup I've had. I cast on this one, but it wasn't. Sorry, I apologize. I should have been ready for this.
How's the IT guy having all these technical issues this past 2 podcasts?
Man.
Bro,
I'm starting to worry
I'm good
about
now,
you,
man.
bro.
I'm good to go. I got it right here.
You fixed my computer though, so I mean,
I got it right here.
the true
So I
campaign.
I had 160.34. Maybe about 3505 place. So my stack that I started with was Lamar Jackson and Marquise Brown, Hollywood Brown. It does help that they went to the 5th quarter. They went to overtime. That
cheat
always
code
is gonna help.
engaged,
Yep.
as we've said before.
They did well for me. I had Dalvin Cook with 18. I had Joe Mixon with 28. All great. Kadarius Toney scoring under 2 points. That's where it just slaughtered any chance I had.
Yeah,
But the other ones I had all did okay. The Dolphins defense scored me 17 against Houston. That was almost a 6x.
They did
It's like
great
5.5x.
this week.
yeah.
Obviously,
And then,
yeah,
man,
How much were they, by the way?
they were 3,100.
Yep, that's
And
why
they
you
scored
pay up.
17, so they were 5.5x what they were worth. And then I had Judy at 13 points, Conklin at 10, and T Higgins at 14 points. We're all okay, but that won't win it. But it was okay. It was a decent lineup. Like if you just cut it in half and you look at the top half, it looks like a winning lineup. The bottom half kind of looks like a mediocre one.
Yeah,
It was good enough to cash though, so I'll take
and
it.
forget it.
Good enough to cash.
Well, the thing is, and I'll get into this as we do the trends recap. Normally, 160 points, like that's couldn't be like
Not
further from like being able to, even like min cash and that type of tournament. but this was like the lowest scoring Milli Maker in not only all of 2021, but all of 2020. Like it was very
just,
low.
weird
205 points
week.
took it down. Like I couldn't believe it. I had to look at it like 3 or 4 times. Like that's how low scoring the week was.
Yeah, the Bills
overall.
put up 9 points against the Jags.
They actually put up 6. Jags put up 9.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
exactly.
sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
they put up 6. Jags put up
Even
9.
worse.
What the
6 to
fuck?
9, by the way. And I saw
Nice.
someone on Twitter. I don't know who it was. Can't credit it, but they were like, "This is perfect Bourbon Myers score right here. 6 to 9. Nice."
To be honest with you, to me, it felt like one of those like grade school tests. You're like, fuck, I finally studied for this class. I got this. You you feel so confident going into it, and then you just get a C minus.
Yeah,
It was just one of those.
it happens.
It's just
Well,
a huge kick in the dick.
I'm gonna preface this by saying that it's been a week, so I
Yeah.
showed up to Eric's house as we do the podcast, and I did like 4 shots in an hour of whiskey, and I'm not driving tonight. I'm being responsible, so it's fine. But we might get a little silly with it, might get a little illy, but it's your Milli Maker special, so we'll get into it.
Let's do it,
Problems for the
boys.
shenanigans. Let's not get off the rails too far, but.
Just get off the road. All right.
So let's take a look at actually what won it. So my score overall, not very good last week. I did have a good stack. So I had the right quarterback, and I had Herbert, and I had Keenan Allen, and that actually was in the Milli Maker winning lineup. But unfortunately, spoiler alert, that was not my team. So Herbert, Keenan Allen, right stack. From there, it got very different. So the winning lineup had Herbert, Nick Chubb, and Chubb was definitely chalk, 21% ownership, which was kind of surprising. And then Zach Moss was the worst play in this lineup with 4 points, but it didn't really matter because he had Keenan Allen at 7% ownership with 25 points. Marquise Brown was chalk too, 28 percent rostered. Waddle is 16 points. Jaceki 9 points, and then
0 points this week.
You just knew James Conner was going to make his way into large field GPP winners, so crushed it. 2%. 2%. Well, you did after the fact. So hindsight's 2020. So James Conner 40 points, 2% rostered. That is how you win a large field GPP. Yeah. And then we got the Browns defense. It was a bad Burrow day. We talked about it on the Fantasy Fling podcast. Denzel Ward had a pick 6. This defense was hot. 2,500, 3% rostered, 18 points. Absolutely crushed it. So over 6x. And every week we have seen in the Milli Maker, you have to have at least one position that is over 6x to win it. And had it more than one this week with James Conner and the Browns D. My team, I changed some things because we did our show on a Wednesday. I was traveling. I went to a wedding. I ended up playing Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen. I had that stack right, but I also had a lot of the Dallas game, and that not so much. Didn't go very well. Also had Eckler in that game with Los Angeles, and we talked about on the Fantasy Fling podcast, it was a tight end day. They almost had 3 tight ends in the top 5. So after Allen, there just wasn't enough points to go around. Eckler, he was 7,900, only scored 11 points, and he was chalk, so it was horrible. Had Falcons D, not very good. I expected them to do a little better against Trevor Siemian. Didn't happen. Goddard, 7 points. Rashad Bateman, that was decent. 10 points. He was 4,000. You watched the Dallas game. It was all Broncos, so if you had Dallas stacks, you're dead. Amari Cooper, 5 points. Delvin Cook, we talked about it. He was very close to having a much bigger day, but it didn't really matter in a large field GPP like this. So, and then really where I punted the position entirely was, I talked about it last week. I'm trying to get like different, very different, at least one spot in this to take down this tournament. And Elijah Mitchell, there was a lot of talk that he might not get at his normal load. Trey Sermon was ruled inactive. I was like, screw it, let's roll with Jeff Wilson. I'm willing to take a 0 with Jeff Wilson at less than 1% rosters percentage, because if he ends up going off and having a big day, which is total shenanigans, it's possible, then that's how you take down a tournament. You know, you get huge leverage on the field. So all in all, horrible day, but that's how you play in a large field GPP, 115 points. I was second. Paul, you were third.
I was 0.
Oh, you didn't do anything?
I didn't score a single point. It's so weird. I put in a lineup and not a single player scored a point. Just kidding. It wasn't that bad. But
so when you told me you were 0, I thought you got drunk again and forgot to put your lineup in, because that's what Polish ball does.
I was putting in Home Depot employees as my running backs. Yeah, you know what I meant. Man, it was really one of those weeks. Shit just got weird as fuck.
Okay, well, we'll leave it at that.
Are we gonna do this again this week? Are we gonna get back to
probably?
Well, I learned my lesson. So what I should do moving forward is I should just draft my Milli Maker lineup on Wednesdays, because apparently it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, which is kind of wild, right?
Right,
boys. I know we rolled the dice, but
I roll no dice.
We might as well just roll the dice with people's names on them. And probably would have scored more.
Fair enough. But hey, before we roll that dice, Paul, 1 second. Before we do that, we cannot roll the dice without knowing what the trends are. You have to follow the numbers. DFS is a game of statistics, specifically large field GPP. So,
except for
real quick,
week.
Sure. Let me talk here. We're now halfway through the 2021 NFL season. We have a big enough sample size to analyze seasonal trends through 9 weeks of the Milli Maker contest on DraftKings. I will say this. So 2020 was, in a lot of ways, I mean, it never happened before in NFL standards, right? So it was the season of key players missing games due to positive COVID tests, even if they didn't have any symptoms, right? So if you miss a game, you have a positive test, you're out. And then stadiums were at minimum capacity due to COVID restrictions. So I really wondered how that affected games, like when you don't have a stadium full of 76,000 fans. How is that going to have an outcome on games? Some people rise to the occasion, other players, they will not. So you just don't know what you're going to expect. But naturally, bringing fans back and star players being available more often, you would assume you would have higher scoring, right? Well, it hasn't really been that way, actually. So in a league riddled with injuries, which we've had a ton of injuries this year, we've had incompletions, we have turnovers, many of the stars just aren't producing on a consistent basis. And that has certainly brought down scoring in games. As far as DFS goes, how would that affect DFS? If you're an avid DFS player, if you think like a DFS pro, you probably have an idea if you study the lineups. But let's look at it. Stacking. If you aren't stacking, your chances of winning a large field GPP are low, like basically slim to none. So let's look at it. Weeks 1 through 9, average number of stacks is 2 stacks in the Milli Maker winning contest and 5 players. So week 1 we had 2 stacks, 5 players. Week 2, 3 stacks, 7 players. Week 3, 2 stacks, so on and so forth. I'm not going to bore you with every detail of that, but I will say thus far in 2021, we've seen a QB stacked with at least one pass catcher in 100% of the winning Milli Maker lineups, which is similar to what we saw in the first half of 2020 season. The 2 exceptions in that year being Taysom Hill and Jalen Hurts. as I kind of alluded to last week. Those are running quarterbacks. They do not have to have a pass catcher stacked with them to get there. In fact, it's better if you just run them naked down the field, like a fucking streaker, a drunk streaker who drank too much whiskey and runs his ass naked down the field. So, in 2 out of the
that happening before.
No, never done it. Never
done it.
Not going streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium.
Never seen you butt naked.
No.
Doing dumb shit.
No.
Dumb stuff.
In 2 out of the 9 weeks, we have had a wide receiver sacked with the defense, though, which, if you think about it, if it's a lopsided game, it does correlate well when you have an offense that can play with big leads, and then you have pass rushers to rush the quarterback, like with Arizona and Tampa, for example. You know, Godwin, for example, stacked with the Bucs D. In 3 out of 9 weeks, it still holds true. Running back stacked with the defense. 66% of the time, this was not necessary. However, running backs, they still do correlate with their defense as teams run out the clock when they are playing with the lead. And then I would say in a year of a lot of lopsided games, game stacking is it's not always necessary. So we've had stacks that have team stacks have been heavily represented in winning Milli Maker lineups. Fewer thick stacks in one game. We've certainly seen a combination of stacks from several games as well, just grabbing pieces from each game. 4 out of 9 weeks have had a winning lineup of only team stacks. So you got to be careful in how you stack this year. Total roster percentage. Now, this overall is down from 2020 so far. The average roster percentage was 108% in 16 weeks of 2020. Right now, it's down 14%. It sits at 94% from the 2020 season. But should we be really surprised? We've had so many injuries to stud players. These are your normal chalky guys. And
Just
then when you have...
Hello, just questionables every week.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we've also had, you look at the Chiefs. They've been garbage on offense, like straight up awful. And the same thing kind of with the Bills, right? We talked about it on the Fantasy Fling podcast. Not as consistent as you think.
Happened last week with the Bills.
Shell 2 coverage is forcing them to take the dink and dunk. So some of these chalkier stacks are just not working out. So it's not very surprising. The flex position. So what we've seen so far, wide receiver in the flex 66% of the time in winning Milli Maker lineups. Running back in the flex 22% of the time. Tight end in the flex 11% of the time. So we've actually seen last year, overall, it was 56% of the time you saw a wide receiver in the flex. It's actually up from last year, which is not really surprising. You think about Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Chubb, Henry, your stud running backs. More or less, they're not always available on game day, and they've been in and out of lineups, and some are gone for the season. So it's a very volatile position this year. When it's always volatile, but when you can't even depend on your studs, it's not very surprising. And then let's take a look at last thing, really second to last thing, pricing by positions, the quarterbacks. Right now, the average quarterback pricing over the 9 weeks of 2021 Milli Maker winning lineups, $6,600. So this is slightly actually risen from weeks 1 to 4 when it was $6,575. But it's been consistent as the average is really only $25 higher. Running backs, it's $5,907. Now in 2020, it was $6,946. So kind of going back to last year, we had massive games from Cook, Kamara at some points, Derrick Henry.
My boy.
Yeah, when these guys are hurt, it's not really surprising, right? With the price dropping.
I can miss that motherfucker.
I mean, dude, look at it this week. It's like Darnell Johnson. Are you playing Brandon Bolden? Are you playing Singletary? Like, dude, it's crazy.
Yo, this was me every single week in our home league, applying my clown makeup. Drafting another Patriots running back. Let me put on my makeup. Thinking about an injury. Thinking about what the fuck is Belichick doing week.
Well, and on top of it, you still picked up Stevenson in our league, so you're still doing the same things.
Bruh, I
Yeah.
picked up Stevenson in this league like 7 times, and every single time I walk to the bathroom, I get all my color
Put your
paints,
clown makeup on, yeah.
and
Yeah,
I put
do
my
your thing.
clown makeup on. Like this is the week. This is the week. This is gonna be it. That's me, man. That's me.
All
I
right.
wish it wasn't, but it is.
Well, I won't
All
clown
right.
on you too much, but let's get through the trends real quick, and then we'll
do it.
clown a little more as you're building your lineup. But as we saw when evaluating 20 trends, so we're going to wide receivers now. When there is a spend down at one position, what does that mean? Sharp players, they're not going to leave a bunch of salary on the table. So I think the lowest winning lineup we saw was 49,800. So they might leave a couple hundo on the table, but they're not leaving a ton of money. So when there's a spend down at one position, that means they spend up elsewhere. Weeks 1 through 4, the average wide receiver price was $57.45. It is now up to $59.41. With Cup being in the winning lineup, he continues to make his way into the lineup in back-to-back weeks. I think it was like week 7 and week 8 he was in the winning lineup. So this really is no surprise. And yeah, I hate to break it to OBJ people, OBJ
Yeah.
stans, truthers.
He's in LA getting pooped on. That's his thing.
No,
LA,
Cup
super
is a
good
man.
for that
Yeah,
kind of shit.
he's
Gonna
another
get
option.
poop on
But the
his
Cup,
chest. Let's go.
What kind of
Yeah.
memes or what kind of crazy shit people are going to come up with? Because the poop reference and Cooper Cup and
Oh, yeah.
Beckham who likes. Oh
Yeah.
God, what did I
Yeah.
just do?
yeah, 2 girls, 1 cup for sure.
How are you feeling about Bobby Trees?
Like I told you, and it's gonna be real. I put this in the group chat in our league. It's gonna be real sad when OBJ is used as a decoy to get Bobby Trees open. He gonna be his father gonna be
I
pissed.
love fucking Bobby Trees. Let's go, Bobby Trees season.
All right, so let me finish this out real quick with these trends. Winning tight end. We talked about this, Eric. I won't get into it too much. It continues to fall. Winning tight end pricing. Think about it's one of the most volatile positions. Punt. And Kelsey, who was a wide receiver 1 last year, hadn't done shit this year for his salary. So, and it's really the same with Waller. For their salary, they haven't done shit. So, are we surprised that the winning tight end pricing has fallen? No, we're not. It continues to fall like it did in the last half of 2020. So it was $52.75 to start the season. The first month of the season, weeks 1 through 4. It's now at $46.33. Defenses. We talked about it over and over. You have to pay up for a right matchup in a GPPs. As you did last week, you have to pay for points. You need a lot of points. You can't just punt the position in GPPs. So, weeks 1 through 4 was $30.75. It's now $31.22. So you have to pay up
It's
a
about
little
what
bit.
I paid for a
Yeah,
6X
you're
almost.
Yeah, exactly. You're not paying $4,000, but you're paying up a little bit for a good defense in a good matchup. Mm-hmm. And then, last thing I want to talk about, we alluded to this earlier. Week 9, 205 points. I didn't study 2019 Milli Maker winning lineups because we just started this fantasy fling really getting together in 2020. But in 2020 and 2021, week 9 of 2021 is the lowest scoring winner we've seen of the Milli Maker at 205 points. So
we're saying
crazy
that week, huh?
Yeah. I will say though,
let's go.
Last year, we talk about this a lot. There's a 250 point target, so it's like an average of 27.7 points over 9 roster positions. This year in 2021, the total average is 232 points. So it is definitely dropped from what it was last year, which was 243 points. And I guess it's not really that surprising, right? We've just seen a lot of shitty offenses so far this year. So
It's a weird week, man.
kind of is what it is. That's so far what we've seen in the Milli Maker. And, there's some things to be learned from that, of course. Check that out on fantasyfootballflink.com if you just want to take a glance over it, write some numbers down. I'm more of a numbers guy, but I also, when I'm driving in the car, I like to listen to podcasts and whatnot. So check it out, but let's look forward to week 10 of the Milli Maker special.
Go, boys. Let's
now,
fucking go. Fuck
Eric's fuck last week. Let's get to it.
Yeah, man.
And we're going to week 10, so I'm going to break down the Vegas lines. Eric's the number one guy. So I'm going to break down these lines, and then I'm going to roll, and Paul's going to roll. And Eric, he already has his lineup ready because he was the number one guy. He didn't have to roll. And then we're gonna build our lineups, and we're gonna give you our sacks, studs, and sleepers. So we roll the dice every week on this top Vegas games to target, specifically for a large field GPP. We got number one Atlanta and Dallas 54.5. We got Minnesota and the Chargers at 53.5. Now Dallas is a 31-point team total in their game. We got the Chargers with 28-point team total. Tampa Bay versus Washington football team, 51.5 game total with Tampa Bay 30-point team total. Seattle versus Green Bay. Now, this might continue to rise because news came today that Mr. Immunized Rodgers is expected to play. And also Russell Wilson, back from his thumb injury, is expected to play as well. So this might be a little sneaky. Maybe some casuals have been paying attention to the news. And Jacksonville and Indy, fifth. After that, 47.5-point team total with the Colts with our game total rather. Colts with a 29-point team total. And then last, Buffalo versus the Jets, 47.5-point game total with Buffalo with a 30-point implied team total. So, all right, I'm going to roll before you go, Eric.
But beforehand, though, the stack that I chose, and it wasn't even because it was the highest over-under, but it was like the Atlanta-Dallas game is what I picked. I like some players in that, so you can't choose number one.
That's fine.
Because Paul didn't know that.
I rolled a two.
Minnesota Chargers.
Yeah, which is a game that I was all about anyway, so I'm good with it. Eric, Paul, why don't you roll, and then Eric, why don't you tell us your team?
Yeah, I'm last, homie.
Yeah, I'm gonna need you to roll. I know you're last.
5.
That is the Jacksonville Indy. And you know what's crazy about this, and Brandon can verify this.
Yes.
I was going back and forth between.
He almost picked it.
I almost picked that game. I think you landed on a good game. I really like the Wentz Pittman stack. But yeah, I actually was debating it. Brandon, I kind of think I took Brandon by surprise a little bit when I said I might take that as a yeah. He was surprised.
I was like, you went number one, and that's what you chose?
I was. There's some stacks. I created some lineups, and I really liked that stack. That's why, or that lineup in general. Just so that's why. Anyway, as you guys are setting yours up, I'll try to not go too fast. I ended up being the highest scorer when I chose my lineup on Wednesday. So, like I said, maybe I'll do that from now on. I chose the Cowboy Atlanta game, and I picked for me. I stacked Dak Prescott with CeeDee Lamb last week against the Broncos. I think there were 2 passes that could have gone for touchdowns with CeeDee Lamb. He just missed them. The whole team the whole team played like crap. They had Malik Turner who scored 2 touchdowns. It was a bad showing for the Cowboys. I really like Dak and CeeDee Lamb combo. If they connected on those 2 touchdowns or 2 passes last week, we'd be talking about them different this week, I think. And I also rounded out with the Cowboys defense, who's 3K. It's kind of close to that range, close to the median of what you were talking about. Dak is 69, CeeDee Lamb 7,000, Cowboys D is 3. So to round that out, I also picked DeAndre Swift coming off. I think he's the first time he hasn't been on the injury report
I love
since like
having
week
him
1.
back this week. I love
Yeah.
that being back this week. Let's go.
Yeah, man. I mean, he has
it.
a bad matchup. There's no question. But Jamal Williams is out. The whole offense kind of goes through him, especially when he's healthy. So we'll see how it goes. I also have Mark Ingram, and this may be a mistake. I may have to change this lineup. With the news of Kamara being out, it shows that Ingram's only 2% owned at this point, but I feel like that's going to go way up. And if it goes too high, I might change it. For the other receivers, apart from CeeDee Lamb, I have Mike Evans, who Godwin may or may not play this week. If he does not, then Tyler Johnson may be a really good play. He's probably the bare minimum, probably like 4,500. I don't even know what he is, but I like Mike Evans this week at 6,900 against a Washington defense who sucks. Michael Pittman, he's the guy every week. Every time they get near the end zone, he's the target. 6,300. And then I was debating between Dan Arnold and Conklin. And I was listening to a bunch of different podcasts, and everyone was on Arnold. Everyone's like, Arnold. And I was like, well, if everyone's on him, the masses are going to probably take that too. So I kind of decided to take Tyler Conklin, who plays like 80% of the snaps. He runs the third most routes. He's always on the field. You figure at some point it's got to connect. He's 3,400. In my flex, I chose a guy who has a ceiling of maybe 25 points, but J.D. McKissick against the Buccaneers. We try to predict game flow. We're going to assume that the Tampa Bay is going to be whooping their ass because that's what they do. We don't know that because we've seen we saw the Jets beat the Bengals. We saw Jacksonville beat Buffalo, so we don't know what's going to happen. But ideally, Tampa Bay should be whooping up on Washington, which means when they play from behind, McKissick is the guy that's in there. He's pretty cheap at 5,200, and that's where I'm at. So to round it out, my stack is Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Cowboys D. Running backs are Swift and Ingram, which may change. Wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, and Michael Pittman. And I have Conklin and McKissick is my flex. And that's where I'm at. Hopefully, I gave you guys enough time. I could keep jabbering on if you'd like. We'll talk about. Hey, you know what? Listen here. I was talking about Tyler Johnson, right? So if Godwin is out, holy shit, he is 3,300. Tyler Johnson is 3,300. If I've ever seen like a cheap price, like what's the bare minimum? 3, I think, right?
Yeah.
Like even last week with Godwin playing, he played 70% of the snaps, had 5 receptions, 65 yards. He scored 11.5 points with Godwin healthy last week. I mean, if Godwin is, healthy or not, he's not healthy for sure, but he may be someone to just kind of look back at. They're playing against basically the worst pass defense in the league.
So, yeah, I would actually have been all over him if, if we had news that he was going to play, but I excluded him from lineups. But, on Sunday, if I wake up and he's in, I'm rebuilding these lineups for sure.
No, he'll definitely play because he's the slot guy. Even because Antonio Brown's been ruled out, Gronk is out. He'll definitely play. But Tyler Johnson. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll look at. The problem I'm worried about, man, is I looked at my ownership percentage, and unless the thing changes drastically with Ingram, it's like 70%. It's really low. That might be, which means the ceiling might not be high enough. That's what I'm worried about.
Well, let me go through your team again. Who do you got?
Prescott. I have my running backs are Swift and Ingram with Kamara out, and my wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Evans, and Pittman. Tight end is Conklin.
CeeDee Lamb, Edmonds, and Pittman.
Mike Evans.
Nah, yeah, dude, you're selling good.
And then I got Conklin, and then McKissick is he's shown that he can score 20+ points though in a negative game script, so I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not bad. So I'll go with my lineup here. I was given what was it, 2? So yeah, I got Los Angeles Chargers and Minnesota. So I will say that Chubb was just rolled out today. So these roster percentage projections, they're not accurate yet. So right now I'm seeing Dernish Johnson at like 1.63%.
Oh, I see him at 26% on PFF, by the way.
Yeah.
Pretty high.
So it's going to be much higher than that for sure. So that said, this is going to throw this for an entire loop. So what I'm probably going to do, I have a Herbert stack with Keenan Allen and Tyler Conklin, and actually, I really like that. Like we talked about on the Fantasy Fling podcast on Wednesday, Conklin was getting a lot of targets. I looked it up. I think he's averaged like 7 to 8 targets the past couple weeks.
Always on the field.
But he's getting end zone targets, so that's most important, you know. So he can at 3,400, he can smash the salary if he gets a couple tutties, you know, in like 50 yards or whatever. And if this game goes off, I got Herbert, I got Keenan Allen, and I got Conklin. And this lineup I was given was Najee Harris at 21% roster percentage. But I like Delvin Cook a little better, mainly because this is a game stack that I think could really go off. Now you have Herbert, now you have Keenan Allen bringing it back with Cook and Conklin. We've seen it before. Cousins can get there, you know, with a running back and another pass catcher. So I like that. Plus, Cook, he's had a lot of shit going on this week. Motherfucker getting pepper sprayed. I don't know what's going on. He's like day and next Friday. You know, that's not my baby. That's my baby right there. And she fucking pepper sprays his ass. We don't know what's going on, but he's ready to play this week.
All them stacks.
Yeah. But he's ready to play this week, and that's what matters. And he's a stud. And you know what? I'm looking at his roster percentage over at DFS Army right now, and he's coming in less than Najee Harris. He's coming in, he's like 16%, and he's got a ceiling projection of 36 points. He's 8,000. I like him. Also, real quick, before we get too crazy into it, I want to shout this out. So I was listening to DFS Army's game plan the other day, and Geek, Kevin Allen, the Geek, one of the OGs, one of the DFS GOATs, he shouted out on Veterans Day, 50% off a VIP subscription for veterans. Normally they do 10% off, so this is huge. And he's like, listen, I got tremendous respect for veterans and what they do. And so we're giving this 50% off. And I just hit him up like 20 minutes ago. And I was like, I got 2 veterans right now, actually on my podcast. I got Paul and Eric. And I was like, can we get that 50% off still? And he's like, yep, they got a code for you. So shout out to DFS Army.
Yeah, man.
Amazing. We love them. They're one of our partners.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. It's very cool of you to do that, man. You know, sometimes things are not appreciated as they should, but you know, it's a small gesture or a big gesture, but we really appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Yeah, to be honest,
appreciate you, Kevin Allen.
Absolutely.
I don't like go around begging for recognition. I'm not the guy who shows up. As much as I joke about showing up to Applebee's and getting kicked out because I get a free meal, to be honest with you, I've never.
You didn't get kicked out of Applebee's yesterday?
I've honestly never gone to any Veterans Day free meal.
I'm with you. Same thing. I've never gone either.
I know what I did. I volunteered myself. I volunteered. So,
but yeah, man. The point being is thank you, Kevin. That's really cool of you to do that. Brandon showed me the text. He's just upstairs from you right now, and I saw the reply. And thank you very much. That's very cool of you.
Yeah, love DFS Army, and that's where I use the domination station for the building these stacks. Looking at fantasy points per dollar, looking at ceiling projections, look at it projected roster percentage. This is my Saturday and Sunday routine. If you're not a veteran, I got you. Fantasy Fling code 10% off a VIP subscription. If you are a veteran, hit up Geek. He'll hook it up with Veterans Day discount. So, not really sure where I was in my lineup before I went there, but I do like Delvin Cook. He's in there. And then if I'm trying to fade the chalk, which trust me, Dernius Johnson, I've talked about this. He's your free square in cash games. I'm all over it. Even in small tournaments, 100-person tournaments, play him, get a little different somewhere else. But in a large field GPP, fade that motherfucker. Because that is your quickest way to victory. If he does not smash, and you fade him, and he's your free square, and large field GPPs, you have just got a lot of leverage on the field. So he's not in my lineup. I want no part of him in my lineup. Singletary, just looking at it, if I'm going to fantasy points per dollar, just kind of sorting here. Singletary, 4,700. I could plug him in as opposed to Dernius Johnson. He's coming at 7% rostered right now. So I'm likely to go there.
Pollard, I think, is pretty close to that too.
Yeah.
I don't know how much he's.
Yeah.
He's 46, but like with Zeke being hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and the New England will monitor their situation. So, if Damian Snacks Harris, as Geek would say, with DFS Army is out, I like him. It's Ramondre Stevenson or whoever, Bolden, those guys, there's running back injury issues there. So, Herbert, if I could plug in Singletary as opposed to Dernius Johnson, and then I'm going Dalvin Cook, that's a good game stack with Herbert, with Cook, Keenan Allen, and Tyler Conklin. And then Beasley, we talked about it. That shell cover 2, it's going to open shit up for Beasley. He's the guy you want to play. Now, another way to get leverage on the field, as I'm totally fading Dernius Johnson, Donovan Peoples-Jones or Jarvis Landry. So if the Browns are going to score points, right, and it's not going to go through Dernius Johnson, if he has a bad day, if you're banking on him having a bad day, you get even that much more leverage on the field if you're playing someone else. You're playing Donovan Peoples-Jones. You're playing Jarvis Landry. So I like those guys. And then my last stack, Aaron Jones. He hasn't really smashed in a while, but he could go off, especially with Rodgers being back, that offense being more competent. He could definitely, if that game shoots out, he gets some short opportunities, goal line carries. He could bust one. I like Aaron Jones on the flex. So he's kind of chalky this week, but not that much. So, and then the Panthers D to round it out.
I was debating on putting Aaron Jones in my lineup as well. I actually had him in there and I took him out, but I do like him this week. I think he's kind of forgotten about, like all those games where he puts he gets 2 or 3, 4, 5 touchdowns. He puts those gold sunglasses on. He turns into Hulk Hogan Jones or whatever that's considered. He's had many games like that. So yeah, man, people forget about how good he is. I think because he has a couple down games. So
for sure,
I like the Aaron Jones call.
Well, Paul, I appreciate that, Eric. Paul, it's your turn. And then we're going to go stack studs and sleepers. So tell us about – I got to pee real quick, and we'll move it along.
All right,
ready,
man.
Paul?
I'm ready.
Okay. Eric, I'll let you grade his lineup. I'll be back.
All right, Paul, let's do it, sucker.
Let's go. All right, this is my lineup based on what I clickety clack, click clack.
What?
But I am gonna keep Johnson in it. I'm going with it. I'm not scared. Anyways, Carson Wentz.
You keeping Dearness Johnson in there?
I'm
know what you're saying?
him in there.
All right.
Hey, let's talk shit.
All right.
Talk shit, get hit, right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
So what was your stack? Start from the top.
Jonathan Taylor. Let's get him going again. It's going against Jacksonville. Let's get this dude rolling. Mike Evans. That's my championship winner of last year. I won a championship with Mike Evans. Man, I was at a ski resort. I was in a ski lift line, and my phone was like ding, 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 ding. 3 touchdown day. Let's go. Keenan Allen. This has been kind of a weird thing for me. My Keenan Allen, Mike Williams relationship, whatever you want to call it. Mike Williams has been going off all year.
Not like the last 4 weeks.
It's been getting weird. Like Keenan Allen's been getting it more. Maybe they started like putting the better cornerback on Mike Williams. I don't know what's going on, but that's it. And of course, Devontae Adams. Man, Rogers has been getting shit on Twitter. Rogers has been getting shit on everything. That motherfucker is coming back. He's gonna be
Can
going at
you
looking to hurt
can you
people.
go through it again from top to bottom real quick? Because I caught some of it and some of it I didn't.
Taylor, Evans, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, and then Arnold Cook, and the Tennessee defense.
You able to fit? Okay.
49,800. Let's go.
So, I just caught Williams has been tearing it up all year. Yeah, he tore it up like the first month of the season.
He and Keenan Allen are kind of doing the opposite, like what I did earlier.
Man, we don't.
Keenan's going like this and Williams like this, and then like it was different at the beginning of the year. But yeah,
that's all good.
Yeah, man. All right.
It's okay. Here's the deal. So
I like Devontae Adams though, man. I think he could have a really good game.
Here's the deal, Paul.
Same with JT.
You got 50% off a VIP subscription now at DFS Army. So I expect you to bring the heat next weekend. I know you'll be ready. You'll be ready.
I'm bringing a Lamborghini next weekend. There's no heat.
Yeah.
I'm rolling in Milli.
You better pick me up, and we'll be going to Eldora to go skiing, go shredding
Let's go.
in the Lambo, Dumb and Dumber style. I'm ready.
Go, bruh.
You'll win that Milli.
Only Lambo in the parking lot with a ski rack.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah, but if you're gonna do that, we got to talk about your ceiling because it's it's not quite there. But hey, we got the lineups now. Your large field GPPs. What do you like for stacks? What do you like for studs? What do you like for sleepers? Eric, you were the top man last week.
Yeah,
why don't you break it down?
Yeah, I'll go quick. I know we've been kind of going long on this one, so I'll go quick. I really loved the either Brady or Godwin or Brady or Evans stack. If Godwin's hurt, even more so, Evans, because I don't think they can stop him. I also liked the Wentz Pittman stack. I feel like it's his boy near the red zone. That's like that. I like the one that I chose for my lineup, Dak and CeeDee Lamb. I love that as well.
Sure.
If you want to have some big balls, take a big chance. Have the big balls. You could go with Taylor Heineke and Terry McLaurin. That's a big ball stack. Because, Heineke's shown he can have a ceiling of 25, 30 points. McLaurin has had great games with him. Obviously when McLaurin goes off, usually Heineke has a pretty good game too. But that's the big ball stack right there is Heineke and McLaurin. And then
I don't hate it. And the reason I don't hate it is because the Tampa Bay Bucks had to call washed up Richard Sherman to come play defensive back for them. Their defensive backs are not good. So I don't hate it, Eric.
He's solo owned.
In fact, we forget. Did he not have his best game in the playoffs against Tampa Bay last year?
Yeah, he almost beat him. It was close.
Did he?
Let's see. It was close. It was a close game.
You might be onto something with that. I like it.
Heineke is 5,400. McLaurin 76. It's a pretty inexpensive stack. That's what 1,300. But Heineke, he could shit the bed, but he could also have a pretty, maybe not a real NFL good game, but a good fantasy game.
Yeah.
So, and then the last one to throw on there.
Let's go.
I have two others to throw in there I liked was, Russell Wilson coming back with DK being underpriced in my opinion. And then Herbert and Allen. I like those two as well. So
for sure.
Stacks for me.
I'm all about that. Now, when I look at Allen stacks, like I had alluded to in the Milli Maker trends, I'm all about Allen and team stacks. So I'm probably not trying to bring it back. Doesn't mean that you can't bring it back. I'm just saying it just sets up as a game where it's a good bounce back game for them. I could definitely see them just blowing out the Jets. So, and even if they don't, I like the lower price stacks. So we talked about that shell cover 2 issue they had it with Jacksonville last week. I like Beasley. I like Knox. I feel like having Knox back, if he plays, I'm definitely going to have him a lot of exposure to him in sacks because I feel like he's been the missing piece. He was a different element to that offense. He can run up the seam, right up the seam, and he's just – they've missed him. You could tell. As soon as he left, their offense has not been quite the same.
Facts.
And then Sanders. So Beasley, Sanders, Knox. I'll probably be fading Diggs in GPPs. But I like those team sacks. Brady and Evans, I'm all about it. I don't think Godwin's going to play. So Tyler Johnson, he's a guy who's coming in, spoiler alert, and the sleeper, one of my sleepers, a low roster percentage. He's kind of the wide receiver 3. So you can get a lot of different ways with the sacks. OJ Howard, maybe Cameron Brate. Brady will target Cameron Brate in the end zone. Dak versus Atlanta. You name it. So Dak, Lamb, Cooper, Schultz, Cedric Wilson. There's a lot of different ways you can go with that. Bringing it back, I'm probably just bringing it back with like Patterson or Pitts.
Gallup is supposed to make his return back this week. So that might hurt.
So yeah,
that might hurt Wilson.
You're right. That's a good point, Eric. I did actually, for some reason, that kind of skipped my mind.
It's all good.
So maybe it's a whiskey. I don't know. So yeah, Wilson. Nix that with Gallup back. I don't really want any part of Wilson. Whether or not they ease him in, I would look to more so the tight end or Lamb and Cooper. And then last thing, Rodgers, immunized, not vaccinated, I don't know, eating clay, drinking spring water, home medicines, talking to his buddy Joe Rogan for whatever the fuck he wants to tell him. I don't care. He's going to play. Wilson's going to play. That game's probably going to go off. If they both play, I like it. So stack that every which way.
Good ass football this weekend.
Yeah.
Last weekend sucked.
Stack it every which way.
Get to watch.
Do it.
Those are my stacks.
Let's move on. Let's finish up the stacks. Move on to some studs and some sleepers. Let's round her out. What you got, Paul?
Yeah, let's keep it under an hour.
For my sleepers, or I guess people, I don't even feel like they're sleepers. I just think they're just people we're not paying attention to.
That's usually what sleepers are.
This week, DeAndre Johnson against Detroit. Man,
Deontay Johnson?
Even have a defense? Let's go, DeAndre Johnson. And in the weird way, after watching last week, I know Eric, big JT fan. That's your boy. That's your
my boy, Blue.
But guess who they're playing this week? It's Jacksonville, man. So, Naheem Hines. He had a great week last week. I feel like if they kind of have the same game script again, to where they kind of don't need to get involved 100%, they can have Hines come in, catch a couple balls, catch a couple of tutties. Let's go. Let's
tutties.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, man.
I'm good with it. Eric,
yeah.
Moving on studs.
Are we doing studs? All right, man.
We are doing studs.
Obviously there's a correlation. Usually, oftentimes with the stacks and the studs, they have a correlation there. So yes. Aaron Jones, a lot of guys I mentioned within the other part will be there. Devonta Adams, Mike Evans. I honestly think, maybe he's a mix between a sleeper and a stud, but I feel like Fournette, with all the injury stuff going on and the maybe positive game script they have, man, I really like Fournette this week a lot. He's 6,100. I'm really on.
Yeah, you alluded to. I like it too, especially with potentially Godwin being out.
Yeah, man.
If you just have Evans, tell me why Fournette's not a great play.
Yeah.
Against a bad team, Brady coming off a bye, yeah, I'm with you.
I like it, man. Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb. I think Michael Pittman for 6,300. The guy I think is showing he's an alpha receiver. He's a stud. I like him a lot. Stephon. If you want to roll the dice, I know it wasn't the at some point. If you look at Stephon Diggs' career, his trajectory, he's always had a couple huge games every season. we're like at the midway point, and he hasn't had one of those games yet. It's gonna, I imagine, with his skill set, his talent, a pretty decent matchup. It's gonna happen at some point. I'm gonna throw Diggs in that category just because at some point, prove me wrong, I guess otherwise. But like every year he's had a few games where he scored like in the 30, 40 point range, and it has not happened this year.
Yeah,
I feel like he's due at some point. And then again, the other guy that I really like as a stud to me is Terry McLaurin. He is kind of somewhat boomer bust, but man, he is an alpha. He's a stud. He's a top, in my opinion, like just pure talent, top 10 receiver. So
he's
I love
Scary
Terry,
Terry,
well.
and he's also
good,
in a great game environment.
He's
so
good. It's likely,
ideal.
negative game script. I like
It is.
Terry McLaurin as well.
For sure. I mean, I'm not gonna throw his name in the hat, but I would love to throw his name in the hat. Antonio Gibson. Man, let's get this going.
He's got stress fractures, bro.
I'm not even. Yo, he's healthy this week.
I think
He's
McKissick is
healthy
more of
this
a
week.
yeah.
And I would love to have this dude
Listen,
go off.
I had stress fractures. Okay, this ruined half of my summer.
I know, man, but he's declared healthy this week, and I would love to start seeing. I'm not saying put this dude in your lineups. Don't do it. Chilling up.
What do you mean don't do it?
Going on, but
You just recommended it. Can't do it.
no, I'm saying don't do it. But
Damn, I love you, Paul.
do you guys not want to see this guy go off this year? Let's go.
Yeah, I love to see like the whole thing he converted from receiver to running back. That's great. Like same thing with Jamal Agnew, who's kind of spoiler alert, a sleeper of mine. Guy from a defensive back to a wide receiver. Yeah, I like to see that
don't
for
put him in
sure.
your lines. Don't sue me. I never said that. I said don't put him in.
All right, so
Well, man,
my
Brandon, do you want to finish out the studs, bro?
a running back, my top stud of the week, and really this is a GPP play because right now coming in under 10% rostered, Christian McCaffrey. Dude, anytime you have a stud of this ability who is this low of roster percentage, this is who you want to play in tournaments. So, 8,400 in all seriousness is very cheap for a guy like that, and seeing 6.78% roster projections right now. The other guy, we talked about Jonathan Taylor. He's gonna be chalk as well as Najee Harris and Delvin Cook. But these would be my other studs. And finish it out with Eckler. Especially, you can use Eckler as a one-off. You can use any of these guys as one-offs because they're running backs. But Eckler, you can actually stack. And same thing with Najee Harris. Like if you get receiving running backs, these are guys you can stack, of course. Probably not trying to play Big Ben. I'm not anyways. But Eckler with Herbert with the stacks for sure. But if it doesn't always work in a stack, you could play these guys as some of your core guys. So I'm about it. Wide receivers.
Hey, you know what, man? Oh, sorry. Keep going. Apologize.
Yeah, no. Wide receivers, I'll be quick about it. Obviously, Adams is a guy you can play as a one-off. I feel like A.J. Brown is up there too. So that game.
Julio's out?
no,
Is he out?
Well, he had limited and then did not practice today from a hamstring injury that came back. Pretty certain. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
But slim chances.
For sure. Well, regardless, AJ Brown's the alpha, and I'm sorry if you thought Julio was the alpha as soon as he stepped in that offense. He's not. It's Arthur Juan Brown, and I like to throw this out there. I would like to see Arthur Juan Brown slap the shit out of Jalen Ramsey, like beat his ass Cortland Finnegan style.
Do you remember?
I wanted to see it happen the other day.
Boys,
you remember about
after last week to put back into my fantasy lineup, and this is outside DFS, DeAndre Swift. Let's go. Put this dude.
Do you remember?
You talking about AJ Green, Eric?
When AJ Green, yeah,
yes.
3 or 4 years ago, AJ Green, there's prime. He literally suplexed him.
Yeah.
Like, they were talking shit back and forth, and he suplexed him into the ground.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed that.
I love that shit. You
know what I was talking about? It's funny.
And Arthur Juan Brown is a bigger boy than AJ Green. He'll fuck your day up. Yeah. He'll fuck your day up.
Let's do it, man. Well, hey, you hit the studs. Why don't you start with the sleepers too, man? What you got for sleepers?
Absolutely.
We'll round it back out with you, and then maybe finish with Paul in the end.
So when you go for sleepers, they're not always. Most of the time it's going to be low price guys.
Usually,
so
yeah.
Devin Singletary, 4,700, coming in at less than 5% ownership. I like him. Of course, if Zach Moss is out and a positive game script. Tyler Johnson, 3,300, 1% rostered, like him. Dan Arnold, we mentioned him last week, 3,500, less than 10%. So give me the guys under 10%. That's what I'm looking for. Christian Kirk, 1% rostered. I think they're pretty bad as far as injuries go. So no Hopkins, right? No Murray. It's Colt McCoy, but you got to throw the ball to someone.
We don't know that yet, though.
What do you mean we don't know that?
D-Hop, Nook, and Calamari.
They're both likely out. So
They're game
probably
decisions.
Yeah, we'll see. That's probably where I'm going. Those are going to be some of my sleepers, and then I would say Brandon Bolden, probably gonna be the last one. If Ramondre Stevenson is out, and we got obviously Damian Harris out, like, dude, Bolden's he's already producing. If those two guys are out, yeah, like, sign me up for as much as him as possible.
You've seen our home league. This was me for the 5th time this year in my home league, putting on my clown makeup, picking up Ramondre Stevenson. I dropped him. I picked him up. I dropped him again. This is like the 5th time. I'm clowning around. I don't even know what the fuck's going on with that Patriots backfield. They're kind of doing committee shit. Hey, man, they're game winners, then game losers, but let's do it.
Yeah, I'm seeing Brandon Bolden at 2% rostered right now. So we'll see what that's like on Sunday. But, yeah, Eric, once you
yeah, man.
give me your list.
So I've got I also have Tyler Johnson as well. We talked about him earlier, sleeper of mine, especially if Godwin's out. Even with Godwin in, being like maybe a limit on snaps, he might still be in play. I also like J.D. McKissick, who someone had in my lineup actually, who's pretty inexpensive. With Murray, I'm not sure if he's going to play or not, but Christian Kirk, he's the type of guy who has big play potential. He can always put up a big game. Another guy that you want to keep an eye on is DJ Moore. Like, he's being forgotten about because PJ Walker's in play, but PJ Walker will at least take shots deep where Darnold doesn't do very often. So it might just be it's a dart throw, of course, but that's why he's a sleeper. Tony Pollard. If they have a good game script with Zeke being hurt, he's got that knee injury. We don't know how severe it is. None of us do. I've talked about him last week as well. I mean, I'm not sure if his ceiling's high enough, but Jamal Agnew. I watched basically every reception of his from like week 5 on. He kind of is. If you watch him on film, he looks like a Tyreek Hill type guy. I mean, of course, he's not Tyreek Hill. Nobody's Tyreek Hill. But he's got that kind of quick twitch, like explosiveness to him. So he's outscored, I think, Marvin Jones in 3 of the last 4 games as well. So someone to look for who might be just inexpensive, super cheap sleeper. And then the last guy I have is Devonta Smith, 5,900. He had a great game last week, and he actually should have had a second touchdown. Just Hurts missed him. He was open in the end zone. He could have had a big game. He had 20 points last week. He could have had a bigger week. So, actually, he had 25 points. I apologize. Last week, he could have had even more because it was a touchdown he was open for. Against Broncos, who kind of Jekyll and Hyde. They're good sometimes. Sometimes their defense looks a little suspect, but sometimes they look really good. You never know. But Devonta Smith, I like as well. 5,900.
Yes, sir.
He's really, and also Tyler. We talked about like really cheap tight ends. You said Arnold. Conklin, from what I can see, is like 4 or 5% owned. And we talked about how much he's on the field and how much he's used in the red zone and just in general. So, yeah, I like him. Paul. What you got?
My big thing has been we kind of overlooked it. I feel like a little bit. The Steelers are playing Detroit. They're playing the Lions. Look into those stacks. Look into that team. And then obviously the other thing I mentioned was Hines. Going up against Jacksonville, I feel like it's a very good game script. I feel like they don't want to beat up on Jonathan Taylor again. And
What do you mean? What do
man,
you mean beat up on him?
back, let's get that guy open. Let's get him out there.
When you say beat up on Jonathan Taylor, what do you mean?
What's
I
he talking
mean,
about?
not use him as a bell cow.
Oh,
I don't want to. Wait, great back. But here's the thing. What you have that guy, you want to get a shot into the playoffs. You want to get in there. Don't put him in through third down. Get Hines in there. I mean, Mac. I don't know what his availability is like this week, but yeah, Jonathan Taylor, obviously great back, but it's kind of like Henry. Hey man, you beat up that dude, he's gonna get hurt. Let's get Hines in there.
I gotta say with Taylor, man, just throwing it out there, like outside of maybe McCaffrey, and this is maybe being just biased. I think he may be the second best running back in the league.
Oh, for sure.
Just throwing it out there. I can't discount McCaffrey because the guy's a stud. So good, but
101 next year. If this is not one of your first round picks next year in your leagues, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, he was barely a first round pick this year, but hey, yeah, man.
For sure, 100%. But just like I'm saying, like, don't beat this guy up, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We went over an hour, maybe because we were
That's the longest
drinking.
one we've ever done, about like
Yeah.
2x.
Yeah,
we had fun tonight, boys.
Sorry.
Well, we had to go over the trends, and then we were drinking, and we just kept going off on tangents
No,
and shit.
shit
So,
happens.
thanks for joining us, and good luck in your Milli Maker
Let's go.
competition. Good luck in your cash games. Good luck in your small tournaments. Good luck in your other GPPs. Let's bank a tournament. Let's do this shit.
Absolutely.
Amelie.
That's going to do it for week 10 of Making a Milli. Hope you all have a good week. Be sure to, if you're on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share. Appreciate all that. Thank you so much. Again, shout out to DFS Army for the veterans 50% off. Normally, if you're not a veteran, you can use Fantasy Fling for a 10% off of a pre-subscription. We'll hook you up if you are a veteran. At DFS Army on Twitter, they'll hook you up for the vets. Still going on for that deal. So, love you guys. Thank you for your service, and good luck this week.
Thank you, brother. Same to you.
Absolutely. Thank you, all the fans out there. I'm one. Let's do it.
We'll see y'all week 10.
Out.
Let's win some money, boys.